Hey friends, I'm Chris Watson, day 2 of our study into the book of James for our take 5 at 5, and we're going to be in chapter 1 verses 19, and we're going to go down through verse 27 through the end of the chapter. And as we look at this passage, we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at hearing God's word, and we're going to look at doing God's word and what it looks like to do that. So it says in verse 19, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save souls." And so when we first look at it, we've got to look at what is our posture, what is our heart when we are hearing things, when we are encountering people, when we are dealing with relationships. Relationships can get messy sometimes. And so it tells us that we should be quick to hear. There's not a lot of us that are quick to hear these days. We want to be quick to speak. We want to get our word out. We want to be heard. We want our opinion to feel like it matters. And so social media and the internet and all of these things are riddled with opinion, riddled with people's words and what they believe, and they want to get that out. But the Bible tells us to do the opposite. "My beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to anger," because that anger is not from God, and that anger loses our testimony when we react in anger. And then it continues, and don't just be hearers. It says, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in the mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and once forgets what he looks like. But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing." So we're not just to take in. We're not just to hear it and go, "Oh man, that's a good word. That, you know what, that was so profound. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to listen to that again. I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to get deeper into it." And that's all good things. But if we don't act, if we don't move forward, if we aren't reacting and moving with that gospel message, if we're not carrying out what is being seeded into us, then we are not doing what God is calling us to do. It says, "If anyone thinks he is religious and does not bridle his tongue but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from this world." And so he says, when you hear this word, when you hear this gospel message, when you hear what I have for us to do, and you just take it in and you go, "Man, that was good. Now I'm going to go live how I want to." That is not what God is calling us to do. God is calling us to go visit orphans, to care for widows, to help those in their afflictions, to be doers of what he has called us to do, to carry on what Jesus did while he was on this earth. And to not be stained from the world, to not be impacted by the world and what their opinions are and what's going on. We've got a lot going on right now. We've got racial tension. We've got a political tension. We've got everyone's opinion out there under the sun. And you're just inundated by what you should be listening to, what you should be hearing, what is on your heart. There's a battle for your heart. God says, don't be stained by this world, but do what the Bible has called you to do. And that's to love others and to care for them and carry out my gospel message. That's a good word for us today. Let's be doers.